Hi, Gribais. My hearty welcome to all. I hope you are all enjoying by learning new concepts day by day. Do you know the today's topic, children? The today's topic is how, when, and where. The first lesson in history. Children, if I ask you a question, what is history? Normally, you used to say study of the past. But here is another answer. History is certainly about changes that occur over time. Year by year, we can notice changes. So, history is about finding out how things were in the past and how things have changed due course of time. By learning this lesson, we can acquire knowledge about periodization of India's past. That is how to classify our Indian history into different periods. Next, important political developments in the modern period. What are the developments that occurred in political, social, economic fields, etc. Next, rise of British power. How British controlled our India. The last one is historical sources. What are the sources to learn about the past? Let's all have a look on the topic how important are dates. In history, dates are very much important. Why? To remember a particular event like war. Kings used to wage war against their enemies to extend their empire. Succession on throne. If a king dies, who has to be the next king? That is the succession on throne. Last, death. How the king died. Due to war or due to some disease. Like that. Once there was a time when historians were fascinated with dates. There were heated debates about the dates on which rulers were crowned or battles were fought. For example, if there is a question to you, what is the duration of the First World War? We answer as in the year 1914 to 1918. Are we pointing out the correct date when the First World War started? Do you know the correct date? No. Normally we used to say only the year. You may have heard people say, I find history boring. Is it correct, children? Do you like history or not? Here is the answer for why history is so boring. Lot of dates or places or the names of kings have to be remembered in chronological order. Everything gets mixed up once we complete the full syllabus. So some used to say history is very boring. Others, they say some other answer. If taught correctly, history doesn't have to be boring. There are many ways to teach history to make it interesting and exciting. Students also tend to learn better when classes are more interactive. Living in the world, we do not always ask historical questions about what we see around us. But most of us have moments of wonder. Watching someone sip a cup of tea at the roadside or in the tea stall. Some may wonder, when did people begin to drink tea or coffee? Can we exactly say the correct date when people started to drink tea or coffee? No. We can say in this year or during this period, people started to drink. But we cannot say exactly the correct date. Similarly, we cannot fix one single date on which British rule was established in India or the national movements started. We cannot say the exact date. Then, why do we continue to associate history with a string of dates? Exactly, we do not know the dates, but why we are still continuing to associate history with the string of dates? We associate history with dates because all the events in history occurred in a chronological order, and dates help us to understand the cause and relationship of events. Dates act as a milestone and help us to compare the events and history. So still we are associating history with the string of dates. There was a time when history was an account of battles and big events. History was associated with the years of battles and big events. When did Second World War happen? Automatically we used to say in the year 1939 to 1945. Historians once gave importance to the year. For example, the year of a king when king was crowned, and the year when the king was married, the year when the king had a child, or in the year when the king fought a particular war, or when did the king died, or how did the king died, and the year the next ruler succeeded to the throne, that is succession of the throne. Now another question here: by what criteria do we choose a set of dates as important? Are we considering all the dates as important? No. A particular set of dates alone become important. Why? What is the reason? We choose to write history around some dates, not on all the dates. And then those dates alone become important. This happens because people focus on some major events, for example wars, that they believe are important. But with time, a new set of events might come into focus and that new dates become important. I shall explain this concept with the known example. I hope we are all familiar with our national movements and our national leaders, those who struggled a lot to attain independence from the British. I have a doubt. How do we know, as we were not born at that time? It's because of our Indian historians who focused on particular set of events as important. On those days, books were linked to these personalities. They gave importance to these national leaders. So books were written on Gandhiji, Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose. Let us see how did British historians focus on. In the histories written by British historians in India, the rule of each Governor General was important. British historians gave importance to their rule of each Governor General. These histories began with the rule of the first Governor General Warren Hastings and ended with the last viceroy, Lord Mountbatten. See children, the person in the first picture represents Warren Hastings, the first Governor General of India, and the second picture, the last Viceroy of India, named Lord Mountbatten. All the dates in these history books were linked to these personalities, to their activities, policies and achievements. So British historians, they gave importance to their governor generals and they wrote books on Warren Hastings, Lord Dalhousie, the maker of modern India. It's the time to learn a new term, periodize. I have given the definition for periodization, that is classification of history into different periods. Periodization is a system of organizing historical information by dividing time into different periods using special or specific basis. Now, how do we periodize our Indian history? James Mill, a Scottish economist, he divided our history of India into three periods: Hindu period, Muslim period and British period. But our Indian historians, they divided our Indian history into three periods, into three different periods: ancient, medieval and modern period. Let us see the difference between the two periodization. First, we must know who was James Mill. James Mill was a Scottish historian, economist, political theorist and philosopher. He wrote a massive volume work, that is an important book, A History of British India. In 1817, James Mill wrote a book, History of British India. In this book, the Indian history is divided into three periods. Already I told, Hindu, Muslim and British period. James Mill expressed his own ideas about India in his book, The History of British India. He thought that all Asian societies were at a lower level of civilization than Europe. He also thought that before Britishers took over India in their hand, there were Hindu and Muslim rulers who used to exploit India or to loot out the wealth from India. Furthermore, India strongly believed in caste system and so many multiple religions, and they also followed or practiced superstitions and so on. So James Mill felt that only British rule could civilize or modernize India and teach the manners, arts and laws. Already we know James Mill divided our Indian history into three. We must know what is the reason why he divided this into three periods. The first period is Hindu period. He said that during this period there was a phase for Hindu rulers, so only he named it as Hindu period. Next, after Hindu came the phase of the Muslims, so Muslim period. After Muslims came the Britishers, that is Christians. He had a colonial mind and thought Asians to have poorly civilized than the Europe. He felt Europeans to be superior. So, through this periodization, he tried to divide the people with their own specific identity, which was not correct. This was not accepted by our Indian historians. Our Indian historians point out the number of problems with such a classification. Not all ancient rulers were Hindu and not all medieval Indian rulers were Muslims. So we cannot accept this classification by the British historians. Many rulers in ancient India belonged to other faiths also, such as Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and so on. Now let us see our Indian historians' classification of history. Our Indian history is classified into three periods according to our Indian historians. First one, ancient period, the next medieval, and the last modern period. Ancient period, the years from 4000 BC to 500 AD. Medieval period from the year 500 AD to 1500 AD. Modern period, the year from 1500 AD to now at present. This classification also had so many problems. This periodization is borrowed from the West. The classification of our Indian history is borrowed from the West, where modern period is associated, linked with growth and development sciences, rationalism, humanism, logic, freedom and equality. The last, modern period. Under British rule, people did not have equality, freedom or liberty. We were controlled only by the British. So, this period, modern period, cannot be called as the growth of Indians because we were under the rule of British. This rule came to be called as colonial rule in India. What do you mean by colonial? A control of one country by another country which brings about political and social, economic, cultural changes is called colonization. Therefore, this period which saw the colonization of India is called colonial period in Indian history. See the picture, children. This picture shows clearly the supreme power of the British over our Indians. So, at those times, our India was nicknamed as British India or British rule of India. How it was possible for the British to establish their control over India? The reasons, the firstmost reason, the British came to India only for trading purpose. During this period, there was internal struggle or dispute in India between the kings. The Mughal power later starts to decline. This gave the British the chance to establish their control over India. They did this through wars and agreement of so many treaties and annexation of so many territories or places and alliances with our Indian kings. Disadvantages of colonial rule. Did we attain liberty under the colonial rule? No. We face so many problems under the British rule. Many economic benefits flowed out of India to Britain. Britain, that is British people, they started to loot our wealth and they took to their own country, Britain. Our Indian industry also met with loss because of British trade laws. Many farmers and villagers lost their ability or power to grow their own crops because they were made to grow what the crops told by the British. Many people died due to famine also. How can we able to know, or how were historians able to write about the past 250 years of Indian history? The years we were under the control of the British. How can we know? Because we didn't have any equality or liberty under their rule. The historians were able to write about the last 250 years of Indian history from the official records maintained by the British administration. What were the official records of British administration and how it helped us? Official records of the British administration serve as important source of history of this period. The British rulers believed that every instructions, plan, policy, decisions, agreements, investigations should be clearly written up. Why they have to write this? Because this was necessary for proper study and debate about an issue. Now the next question. Why did the British preserve official records? The British believed that by preserving official documents, it would be easier for them or any other persons to know about the decisions taken in the past. Or one can study the notes and reports that were prepared in the past. Their copies may be prepared and used in present time if needed so. So, for all these reasons, British preserved their official records. And another reason was also British preserved the official document because they thought the act of writing was very important to run and govern a country in a better way. They also believed that it would help them to systematic the reports and official document, and in this way they can be used further also. Where did the British preserve official documents? The British preserved the official documents in record rooms, in archives, and in museums, which can be utilized at a later period for reference and debating. What is record rooms? The community or the village Tahsildar's office, the collectorate, the commissioner office, provincial councils or provincial secretariat, law courts, all had their record rooms. This picture is the village's Tahsildar's office, collectorate office, commissioner of police office, provincial secretariat, and last one is the law court. Archives, picture of museum. What official records do not tell us? What these records do not tell us? Official records do not tell how the people felt about a particular law and how they reacted to these laws. That is, in short, the feelings of the people. We cannot able to know the feelings of the people on those days. This information can be obtained from in some other ways. They are newspapers of the time, biographies, books, and personal diaries of the important personalities, or census and surveys of the government. Last, buildings and monuments of the time. Second, third, and fifth, we already know. But the fourth, census and surveys, we shall have a look upon survey first. Practice of survey was for practiced by British in India. Later we also started to follow the practice of survey. The practice of survey became common under the colonial administration, that is British rule. The British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. By the early, that is starting of 19th century, detailed surveys were being carried out to map the entire country, to map the areas of our India. There are different types of surveys. During the British rule, various surveys were conducted like population surveys, revenue surveys, land surveys, and so on. Mapping was also an important part of the surveys. Many topographic maps were made by the British during this period. All these sources, however, were produced by those who were literate, the educated people. From these, we will not be able to understand how history was experienced and lived by the tribals and the peasants, the workers in the mines, or the poor on the streets. Now it's the time to give assignment for you. The assignment is read lesson 1 in history and find the meaning for new terms or hard words using dictionary. Thank you, children. See you again.